All right, what's up, my brothers? So I had a recent video brought to my attention that went absolutely viral of a gal crying about not being able to find a spark with guys that she's dating, even though they're pretty hot. So let's have a little play and listen to this, and I'll tell you what I think of it.
I said I wouldn't talk about my dating life on here, but I feel like I cannot be the only one who feels alone in this. Just went on a first date, and this is no offense to this man, obviously. Perfectly fine, normal, lovely date. It's getting to the point, though, that that's the problem. Like, there's just nothing happening. And I just feel no sparks and no chemistry with people, and I feel bad because I feel like it's just me. I'm going out with really handsome, accomplished, interesting people, and I feel nothing. I feel like I'm just another girl. Like I'm one of a million and there's just nothing special about me. Probably not presenting that great either. Not like that sparkly or interesting or like dynamic at all because I'm just so depleted. I know my person's out there, but starting to really question if I even have it in me to find them anymore. I listened to Maisie Neely's book today, and through all of the hardships she had, she just kept going and kept dating and kept seeing people, and I admire people so much that have that in them because I just don't have it in me. I thought I was safe and I thought I was done, and like having to do this again just feels like work every time I go on a date, and it feels like so hard.
All right, well, you know, I had a look at some of the comments on this, and it was everything from, it looks like she's on SSRIs and she's numb, and there's a lot of therapists that also chimed in, and they're like, I talked to a lot of women in this age bracket, and she looks like she's probably somewhere in her like 30s, I would say. That's usually when women want to get right and settle down and have a family, and they're done with the party years and they're serious. They want to find a husband, but then they end up in a situation like this, which is like so bizarre. And I'll tell you what I think's happening here. One of the problems that women run into today is they end up spending a good chunk of their youth wasting it away, partying, racking up notches, sleeping with the bad boys, traveling, one night stands, and all these type of relationships that don't really go anywhere. A lot of women will complain today that there's no good men, and then they routinely put themselves in rooms where no good men exist. They want to get married and have a family, and that's normal. Like, why wouldn't they? It's in your biological imperative. It's hardwired into women's DNA and men's as well. But the problem is that once they run through enough D, they have a very, very hard time committing to a guy. And I'll tell you why. Like, these women, it's not that uncommon for them to rack up dozens and dozens or even into the triple digits of notches in their 20s. I had a similar conversation with a gal years ago before I got married. She said something similar to me. She's like, I don't understand, I really like you, and you're handsome and you're successful and you're tall and all that stuff, blah blah blah. She's like, but I don't know, I don't think that this is gonna go anywhere, sort of thing. And it's like, you're just like, okay, whatever, another one of these chicks sort of situation. And I was a little more plugged in then. Obviously I didn't really understand why, but I know today it's because if a chick's been with 41 guys and had a whole bunch of relationships or situationships in that mix, when things don't really go somewhere, or they don't quote unquote feel, as women like to say, right, they just move on. And maybe the point of SSRIs or antidepressants is an issue or a contributing factor. They do tend to numb women. The numbers are pretty high. The number of women that are on antidepressants, especially after the age of 30, is getting higher and higher every year, right? They say something like 2 in 5 women are on antidepressants. So that's probably a contributing factor, but it's also the number of guys that they've been with. And then when a handsome, successful, competent, resourceful, tall guy shows up and she goes out on a date with the guy and nothing happens. Why? Because she's already done it dozens and dozens of times. She slept with a whole bunch of them and shared her body with all these men. And there's difficulty in her wanting to pair bond. You go back to my grandparents or great grandparents, generation. They were 2 horny teenagers that wanted to get laid, so they got married to, facilitate that, and they had a family. And most of the time, when they did that, you know, they had sex for the first time. Today, in most relationships, people get into a relationship, men and women, and they're expected to stop having sex with other people. So the dynamics like shifted. It's got thrown on its head. It's no surprise that you have this entire generation of women now in their 30s that on one part of the equation for them, they feel the calling to have a family and find a guy and to do the right thing and settle down, but they can't do it. The guy shows up and she's been alpha widowed. You know, she's been through so many guys that it's difficult for her to find a way to connect. When a woman gets alpha widowed, like when she doesn't get the guy that she wanted in her early years because he didn't want to commit to her, or she had too many red flags, or whatever the reason, you know, happened to be, but she got with a guy and then the bar was set at that level. There's a lot of comedians that make jokes about this all the time in their stand-up routines. It's like, you know, when women get with guys, they can never really go back, usually financially, because women are hypergamous, right? It's like they start with a guy that has a bus pass, then they get with a guy that has access to his parents' car, then they get with a guy that has his own car, then they get with a guy that has a couple cars and a nice exotic, and they get with a guy with some cars and a boat, sort of thing. And it's like they never really go back financially. And at some point, it's like they've been through enough and they've been with enough guys, and there's that one guy that they really wanted, that, you know, that one Chad Thundercock, you know, if you will, and he didn't want to commit to her. And it's like the next guy that comes along that's just about good enough, there's no connection. It doesn't exist. She can't settle for him. And that's a real problem. And guys, there's not a lot that you can do about this, if I'm being perfectly honest. And for women watching this, you would be wise to preserve your value as a woman in your youth and prioritize your opportunities in your youth when your value is highest. A lot of these women are told today, you don't need no man, or girl, you know, 40 is the new 20. That is the biggest crock of shit that toxic feminism tells women, and it's absolutely not true. A woman's value peaks on the sexual marketplace in her early 20s, 22, 23. It's been proven time and time again. It's been studied. That peak is when women should prioritize family formation. Instead, most women prioritize their youth, their 20s, exploring life, partying, traveling, you know, running through a bunch of dicks, staying up till, you know, 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, at a rave, on all kinds of drugs and stuff like that. And that's just not good for women. It clearly isn't working out. Whenever somebody, you know, that's older says, you know, I've done this, that, and the other thing, and it's like, well, how's that working out for you? How did those choices work out for you? And they usually don't have an answer. I remember this gal, you know, back to the original story that I was telling earlier, that kind of gave me the, you know, you're tall, you're handsome, and you're kind of guy, but I don't understand it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. She was this chick, I think she was in her early 30s, like 31 or something like that. She was this gal that had partied through her 20s. She worked on cruise ships, traveled Europe, bounced around from dude to dude to dude. She's the kind of gal that you'll see today on Instagram, if I can use a parallel. She's attractive, and every single one of her Instagram posts is a solo picture of her, all dressed up to the nines. She looks very attractive in different locations, in front of a nice plate of food on Santorini. Maybe she's on a boat somewhere, a nice exotic boat, beautiful exotic car somewhere, on a jet plane, in a nice luxurious cocoon in first class, maybe even a private jet. Who do you think is paying for all of this? It's guys. And it's her running through a bunch of dudes that's getting her to this point where she's not accomplishing what she wants out of life, and it ain't serving her. And again, I'm going to go back to this question to the ladies watching this. How's that working out for you? So gentlemen, I'm going to offer you a little bit of a prescription in dealing with a situation like this, because I know a lot of you guys are like, yeah, Rich, I get it. I hear the problem. What do I do? What's the solution to all this? I'll tell you what the solution is, gentlemen. The solution to all of these problems that you're hearing about with these modern women, and like, I'm sorry that you're dealing with this, and I'm confident that you're going to get through it, guys. But here's the thing. For you to get through finding what it is that you're looking for as a guy, as you're watching this YouTube channel, it relies entirely on you being as attractive as you can possibly be, and as valuable as you can possibly be on the sexual marketplace? Are you successful? Are you competent? Are you resourceful? Have you created renown for yourself? I talk about the 7 spokes of a high value man in the second edition of the Unplugged Alpha. My editor will put a image up so you know what to look for. The book is pinned below. When you level yourself up on the sexual marketplace so you're on the top shelf, and by the way, to be clear, for the black pillars out there watching this, I'm not talking about doing this for women. I'm talking about doing this for yourself so you can lead and have the kind of life that you want. And if you want to invite a woman into it, or women, or date them, or marry them, whatever your strategy happens to be, you have optionality. Otherwise, you're stuck with these psychopaths that have been through a bunch of D on SSRIs, and they're like, I don't know why I don't want to be with you. You're tall, successful, and rich, and like, forget about that nonsense. You need optionality, guys. To have optionality, you have to be valuable. Once you have optionality, then you have more choices. And if you choose to invite one into your life or multiple, you can do whatever you want, guys. I talk about that in The Top Shelf Man, by the way, which is volume 2 of the Unplugged Alpha, also pinned below. You should read that book if you haven't read it. If you've read the first one, go to the second one. But that's the point. That's how you solve this problem for yourself. And it's only the guys that do this work, that get on the top shelf, that can avoid women like this. I mean, most guys would look at this and be like, well, she's objectively attractive. I would go out with her. But if she's not choosing you because she's got issues, you've got to go and find the women that don't have the issues, which are typically younger, that have preserved their value, that have prioritized finding a mate or family formation at a younger age, and didn't prioritize partying, traveling the world, working on cruise ships, running through D, going to raves all night till 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, smoking and drinking and doing drugs and all this kind of stuff, ruining their life. This is the solution for you guys, as I offer a reasonable prescription to you. And some of you might say, well, that's not reasonable, that's difficult. I get it. There's a lot of work that a lot of us need to do. I know that I have my own inner work that I still need to do, but recognize it, acknowledge it, and lean into it. If you guys need assistance with that, you've been through my books and you love my videos and that sort of stuff, I created something for you. It's pinned below. It's called the School of Unplugging. It's got all these simple steps that you need to follow. You essentially copy and paste into your life, and then you level up. You get it with my guidance, and you're in there with a whole bunch of other guys in my community doing the exact same thing. Check it out. It's called the School of Unplugging. See you guys later. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.